Kindly let me know if there is any difficulty. Let's go ahead. So we are in the data link layer. We are in the data link layer. We have learnt about what are the services provided by the data link layer. What are the services it can, what are the support it can expect from the physical layer. And also we have spoken about how the medium access control protocol is very much required. We started learning about the requirement of medium access control protocols. And also we learned about three major classification of medium access protocols. They are channel partitioning, time division multiplexing, frequency division multiplexing, code division multiple access, right? So these are some of the channel partitioning protocols. Then we turned our attention into um, random access protocols, where we learned about slotted aloha, then we learned about aloha, then carrier sense multiple access, carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. These are the four things we learned in the second classification. And then we went on to learn about the third one, where we learned about taking turns protocols. And the very famous were the polling protocol and also the token ring protocol, or the token passing protocol to be precise. This is what we have learned so far. As we move ahead, the next set of things which you are going to learn is something more into the local area networks, specifically about the switches, the MAC address, and little bit about the Ethernet, and how machines are acquiring the MAC address of other machines and those stuff, right? So as we move ahead, so this is a typical example of a local area networks. I'll tell you what are things available here. We have got a router. The router connects with the other network. It could be internet, it could be another network of the same organization, anything. But you are connecting with that through a router. So about the routers, we have learned sufficiently in the earlier chapters. Let's give our concentrate on the switches. So in this topology, we have got a switch. This switch has got at least 6 interfaces active. 6 interfaces are connected with various other interfaces. You can see interface number one is connected to another switch, right? So this is how you can increase the number of devices which can be connected in a computer network, in a local area network, right? So this switch is connected to another switch. With that switch, you can have n number of machines. For instance, if the switch is capable of addressing 24 machines, or it has got 24 ports, so you can connect 24 devices, right? In that angle, now this machine is capable of 24. One of the interfaces is connected to one, and that can in turn connect to another 24 computers. So this is how we can increase the number of machines which can be connected to a local area network, right? And each of the interfaces may have different capabilities based on the kind of interface which you are having in the switch. It is fully depending on the hardware, right? So what hardware are you using? Is it 10 Mbps? Is it supporting 10 Mbps or 100 Mbps or 1 Gbps? All right. So that depends on what kind of interfaces you are using, and also what kind of cables you are connecting with to realize the maximum bandwidth. And not only that, you can have your own machines. For instance, on this topology, we could see the mail server, we could see a web server. These devices are connected to the switches. They are directly connected to the switch. So these are all the capabilities of a switch, right? Now there should be a question. Can we have this as one IP address, maybe the IP address of one network, and can this belong to another network? It is possible. You have to configure virtual LAN. We call it as VLAN, which we are not going to talk as of now. As we progress, we can learn in the later classes, right? So otherwise, if the switches are having the default configuration, then all these interfaces are supposed to have the same network. They all are part of same network because they are not routers. Moving on, what are the addressing scheme which we use in the link layer? It's worth, if you talk about the network layer as well as transport layer, the addressing scheme used in the transport layer is the port number. You know that every of the application has got a port number. And then comes to If we go to the network layer, we have got the IP address, either it's IPv4 or IPv6, but predominantly the IP addresses are used in the data network layer, but not necessarily the IP protocol. All right, so please note the difference between internet protocol and the internet protocol addressing. Right, so it's not necessarily that you should have IP all the time. It could be IPX or Apple Talk. These are the other competitors for IP, which are also used in the network layer. But addressing, it is IPv4 or IPv6. All right, then comes our data link layer. What kind of address are we using in data link layer? This is called as MAC address, right? So the MAC address is of 48 bits in size. So it is better if we compare the MAC address with IP address and the port number. Okay, MAC address and IP addresses are used to identify the machines, whereas port numbers are used to identify the application. If you look at the size, MAC address is of 48 bits in size. IP address either 32 or 128 if it is IPv4 and v6 respectively. And if you go to port number, it is of 16 bits in size. So port number is a whole number. It's a decimal number ranging from 0 to 65,500. Right? When you look at the IP address, if it is IPv4, it uses dotted decimal format. If it is IPv6, it includes the hexadecimal format as well. But when you look at the MAC address, it follows hexadecimal. So each hexadecimal requires 4 bits in binary. There are 6 such compartments. Each compartment has 2 such numbers. So 2 hexadecimal values. So every compartment needs 8 bits. We have got 6 such compartments. So 6 times 8 bits, 48 bits in size. So by looking at the number address itself, we can find out whether it's a MAC address or its IP address or its port number or IPv6 address. All right, now there should be a question. Why should we have 2 different address? Because we have got IP address already. That works well. What's the necessity of MAC address, right? So this, it is better if we compare this MAC address with our real world example. MAC address is something very similar to your maybe Aadhaar card for that matter, because it's going to be unique, and these Aadhaar numbers are unique within India, right? So which means the Aadhaar card which I have got, the Aadhaar number is not going to be same with somebody else, vice versa, right? But what about IP address? Is it true? Yes, sir. IP address also is going to be unique theoretically. Forget about the logic of physical address and private address and public address. If we don't have such differentiation, logically, IP address has to be unique. Okay, now what's the difference between MAC address and IP address? Why should we have 2 different numbers? All right, now IP address, if you look at, this is something related to, I can map it this along with your register number. Okay, MAC address, I can relate this with your driving license number or Aadhaar card number or passport number and so on, right? So what's the difference between these two? Right, so why should we have the register number when you have your name, when you have your Aadhaar number or driving license for that matter? Then why should you be given register number? Register number is given to have a clear grouping. For instance, if there is a person in this class, I take a random register number. Let me say URK 18CS001 and another person with the register number URK 18CS002. Right now, it is these 2 numbers are most likely to be in the same batch, otherwise at least in the same class, right? And the possibility of URK 17CS001 and URK 19CS001 to be in the same class is very less. It is near nil. Okay, it's not going to happen. But if there is a person with no, you assume that your Aadhaar number is 11111. Okay, let me say 4-digit Aadhaar number you have got 1111. Okay, there is a possibility that another person with 1112, that is just the next number, may be available in Haryana, may be available in Chennai, need not be in the same class or same batch. But if you look at URK 17CS or URK 18CS001 and URK 18CS002 are most likely to be in the same class, sometimes even in the same batch. Okay, the next number is not going to be elsewhere. All right, so grouping of numbering is very, very easy if you look at the IP addresses, because that is what very much needed. And IP address is not going to be permanent. I have got, now I came to my hometown and I have got IP address because I got the internet connectivity from BSNL as well as from Airtel. For stability at present, I'm using the Airtel, right? So it may give me some IP address. But once I change my laptop to be connected with the BSNL, okay, I have got BSNL FiberNet. So if I connect this with BSNL FiberNet, it will have another IP address, all right? So for grouping, and we have learned about the autonomous system. So whatever IP is given by the network administrator is going to be assigned to this machine, right? Machine is here. It is very well in the first floor of my house, but the IP address changes once I change the service provider. Right? Same laptop. I haven't changed anything else except the connectivity, not even the network interface card. What about MAC address? MAC address is not going to be changed. MAC address is hard burnt in your network interface card, which we have learned in the previous class about the network interface card, where MAC address is hard burnt, and this is not going to be changed. All right. Now there is a simple question: can the MAC address be changed? Theoretically, no, but practically, yes. We have got a lot of emulator tools available to change your MAC address, which you call as MAC spoofing, right? So that's the reason many a times you are not able to trace back to from where the attack has been initiated. Okay, that's a different story. But otherwise, MAC addresses are permanent with your laptop until you change the network interface card. You take it to Chennai, you take it to Coimbatore. If I bring it to Karunya campus, same MAC address is going to be there, but IP address will be different, right? So now you should convince yourself that yes, it is necessary to have the MAC address and IP address coexisting in your machine, because the purpose of these two different IP address and these two addresses are different, right? Moving on. All right. So when you talk about the MAC address, the adapters are having this link layer address. What is this link layer address? That's another name for your MAC address. Okay. So MAC address and link layer address, they are canonical. Right? They are alias names. Okay. So link layer address denote the MAC address. So MAC address are available with the adapters or the network interface card. That's the reason I mentioned initially that if you remove or if you replace the network interface card, your MAC address is going to differ. Moving on, a router or a host. Kindly note, I haven't spoken about the switch here. Okay, I have spoken about the host or a router. What is the host? Probably the personal computers. Generally, the end devices are host. Okay, the host or a router with multiple network interface card or multiple network interfaces will have multiple MAC address, multiple link layer addresses. All right, so that's the reason a single router will have at least two MAC addresses, because it is supposed to connect two different networks all the time. So it must have at least two MAC addresses connected to it, available with it, because it will have two network interface cards, right? I haven't spoken about the switch because switches are not having the MAC addresses. Is that clear? Let's move on. Okay, link layer, that's the one here. Link layer switches do not have link layer addresses associated with their interfaces. I just tried this coloring yesterday, it worked well. I thought I will use it here. Okay, so link layer switches, they don't have the MAC address or link layer addresses associated with that interface. Then, what are the other names for link layer address? They are LAN address, physical address, MAC address, and so on. What are the other names for IP addresses? You have got a logical address, layer 3 address or network address, IP address, right? Host address. So these are the different names for IP addresses. But LAN address, MAC address, especially the physical address, are the common words for your data link layer addressing scheme. Okay, something more about MAC address. MAC addresses are of size 48 bits, in other words, 6 bytes. So it is possible to have two power 48 possible MAC addresses in the internet, in the computer world. Okay, can MAC address be changed? This cannot be asked in the examination, because I should say yes and no. It should not be changed, but you can change using the emulator. But if I ask you a question, if I replace a network interface card, will the MAC address be changed? Straight away you can say yes. Okay. No two adapters have the same address how. That's very interesting, right? So I have said in one of the slides that MAC addresses are unique, right? So how is it possible to have two different machines have always different MAC addresses? How is it possible? Right. So very similar to your IP addresses, you have got these MAC addresses are also maintained by the IANA and IEEE teams. Okay. So what happens? Suppose you want to set up a company which can produce the network interface cards. What are you supposed to do? You go to this company, pay a nominal fee, get a block of addresses. This block is going to be same for the first three compartments. What is a compartment, by the way? I call this as a compartment, which is not a regular word, but just for understanding, I'm using this word. So this is one compartment, this is second compartment, and the third one. First three compartments are um, same for a company. If I have bought, for instance, 1A23 F9, all the Mac network interface cards which I have produced will have the same prefix of 1A, 2, 3, F9. Once I have exhausted the remaining three compartments, then I will go and purchase another block. Then I will start producing, right? So this is the reason when I am producing, these numbers are going to be unique. And the first three blocks which I have got is also going to be unique. That's how I'm able to achieve mm, the uniqueness in MAC address. Something which is in addition to whatever about these MAC addresses, though it is not the within the scope of your textbook. This behavior of MAC address is really vulnerable to attack. Okay, you guys would have learned about, would have at least read about war driving, right? So where it is possible to know the MAC address of the sender and the receiver. Please remember the MAC addresses, especially the data link layer frames, are not encrypted at all. It is going as a plain text. So anyone who is working on a promiscuous mode in the network to capture the packets, it is easy for anyone to capture the packet. First step. Second step, and again by using my tool, I can find out where the data link frame starts, where it ends. By knowing that, I know what is the source MAC address, what is the destination MAC address. Okay. By knowing the source MAC and destination, I can reveal many things. One of the things is who is the person often is communicating, who is the other person. A simple point. Okay. If it is between the client and server communication, maybe I'm trying to find out what's happening in the banking application. It is easy for me to find out which particular MAC address is always receiving the packet and sending the packet. Then I can assume that that is a very important mission. All right. Uh, so what? All right. The third one is when you talk about the first three adapters, I have said that it is specific to a particular company. For instance, if Xerox company is producing the Mac network interface cards, it will have the first three compartments same for all its MAC address. By knowing that block, I can understand this network interface card was produced by Xerox company. But if I learn the vulnerabilities of the network interface card produced by the Xerox company, now the next step is easy for me. I can exploit their vulnerability. So this is one of the attacks which can happen in your layer 2 just by knowing the MAC address. Anyway, out of the focus, if you are very much interested, you can read about that war driving and other related stuff, which mainly happens through wireless network. Because in wired network, it is nearly impossible for you to go and connect yourself having the physical cable. But if it is wireless network, it is very very possible. Okay, then MAC address has a flat structure as compared to IP address. Please recall our discussion that IP address follows a hierarchy structure having at least two layers, network layer and the host portion, network portion and the host portion. But MAC address is a flat structure. Okay, though the company which produces the MAC addresses are not preserving that, that has no technical implication in its operation. Right? So it is going to be flat structure. That's the reason we are not able to group them. If it is having two levels, it is easy for us to group because the first network interface card may be bought by B, then second network card may be bought by you. All right, bought from the company by you. You are in Hyderabad or you may be in Delhi. All right. So these two next, I have the MAC address, for instance, YA1823 F9CD069B. You may have 1823 F9CD069C, but you are somewhere else, right? So it is not possible for us to group because it has got the flat structure, right? Okay, moving on. Adapters may receive a frame that is not addressed to it. Recall that we are talking about the broadcast network. We talk about the shared medium, right? When I am sending a message, this is going to be received by everyone who are all part of that network. Okay, so you may receive a frame which is not addressed to you. What will happen? Okay, what will happen? What are you going to do when you receive a frame? As soon as you receive a frame from the physical layer, you are going to check the two MAC address with your MAC address. If there is a match, then you will process it. If there is a mismatch, you are not going to process that packet at all. You are going to discard because you understand that that frame is not for you. Ethics, all right? It will not read the letters addressed to others. Very simple logic. What's the? Is there any other time machine will read the frame, though the destination MAC address does not match? Yes, there is another occasion where even though the destination MAC does not match with your own MAC address, it will process. What is that MAC address? That's the broadcast MAC address. We have learned about layer 2 broadcast, especially in DHCP. If you remember, layer 2 broadcast contains all the bits 1. If it is all the hexadecimal value, all are F. Starting from F, finishing with F, all are F. All right. So that is going to be a hexadecimal notation of a broadcast MAC address. So if you get a broadcast MAC address, you will process it, or the destination MAC address should match with your MAC address of this interface, or the MAC address should match with your multicast MAC address, right? That's the third one. Okay. Next comes the address resolution protocol. Now you understood what's the necessity of the MAC addresses. One of the reasons to have MAC address is to have the switching packet, switching of packets. Okay. Now, what is the necessity of ARP? Very simple. As the network administrator, I give the IP address to you. Okay, and you also know the IP address of other machines, because which are all going to be in a local area network. So you are going to send it to you. Now the packet is given to that. How are you going to know the MAC address of other machine? Okay, to know the MAC address of the other machine, you need the address resolution protocol called ARP. Okay, so address resolution protocol is somewhere similar to DNS. We'll see that. Okay, but the objective of address resolution protocol is it translates the network address with link layer address. Right. So in other words, it translates the IP address into MAC address. Very simple, sir. After the ARP protocol runs, it creates a ARP table. The table should have at least 2 columns. Of course, it has multiple columns. At least it should have 2 columns. One column should have the IP address. The other column should have its corresponding MAC address. Isn't it simple? So run the ARP, get the MAC address, put it on the table. It will be available with you, right? So that is the use of ARP. All right. An ARP module in the sending host takes any IP address on the same LAN as input. The keyword is very important. Same LAN as the input, and returns the corresponding MAC address. That is what ARP model. So if you have got 2 network interface cards connected to a router, there will be 2 ARP modules. Kindly remember that. Okay, it is not per mission, it is per network interface card. Okay, there will be 1 network interface card for 1 connectivity. So 1 ARP module per network interface card. All right. Yeah, it's better if we talk about ARP with DNS. We have got such kind of mapping somewhere else also, right? That is called domain name system. So domain name system maps between IP address and URL. Okay, ARP map does the same kind of mapping between IP address and MAC address. All right. So please remember the difference between ARP and DNS. All right. Moving on. After this ARP, you have got the ARP table, as I have mentioned. So each host and router, again, I'm not talking about this switch. Okay, it's 2020. Each host and the router has got a ARP table in its memory, right? So it has got one ARP table for one network interface card, because all these are happening in the interface card, not with the router's processor or your CPU. It's a separate entity. Okay. Then every of the ARP entry has a expiration time that is typically 20 minutes. Okay. So what is this time to live says? This is the mapping. So this is the IP address. This is the MAC address. Okay, and it has the lifetime of 20 minutes. What happens after 20 minutes, sir? After 20 minutes, this entry is removed from your ARP table. When will it be updated? When you require, when you have a data packet to be forwarded to this 222 then your ARP will come into picture. That will run around to get the MAC address of this machine, then it will connect. Okay, so this is what your ARP table. Okay, all right, now we all are set. We know what is the need of ARP, how are we getting ARP. Now it is better to know the technical aspects of address resolution protocol. We call it as ARP operation. All right, so shall I have, I think if I use the packet tracer which I prepared this morning, this will help us to understand that, right? So I have only set the IP address. So I'll show you. This has got 1111111111 with the mask gate and 110 as the gateway. We should have 112 the gateway. We should have 113. Yes, I think it is 222. Yeah, all 222 and 221. This is 222. Okay, and 223, I suppose, right? And all of them have the gateway of 220 in the last octet, because that is the IP of the fast Ethernet 10. And fast Ethernet 00 has got all 111 except the last octet, which is 110. Right now, I move to simulation mode. In the simulation mode, I go for edit filtering. We want to see only ARP. Right? We want to see only ARP. So from this machine, it has got, okay, I don't want this IP address. This is 222 Okay, from this machine, I go to command prompt and I give a ping command, ping 222.222.222.221, I think. I press the enter. All right, now you could see the ARP packet is getting ready on the screen. The ARP packet goes. Yeah, I stop here. Did you notice? Did you notice something happening there? Right? This was sent across everyone. All right. So we can even see what's happening in the ARP packet. Outbound PDU. Let me see ARP. Look at this ARP. In the ARP, the source MAC address is 0000 BED0. Is it available somewhere here? Go to is it here? Can you see that? First Ethernet. Yeah, 000B BD02005. This is the source MAC address. Okay, this is your source MAC address, and you need the destination MAC address. Initially, it fits as 0. Okay, source IP is your machine, and destination IP is this. So this is sent as a broadcast message. Okay, can I see? Yeah. So you look at this. The destination MAC is a broadcast MAC. So that's the reason this packet is shared with everyone by the switch. Okay, whether switches are having any MAC address, can we see anything? I go to config. No, it's not having any MAC address. Okay, so this interface is not having any MAC address. Let it be. Okay, now the packet goes here. What do you expect? We want this packet to go here. Does that happen? Let's have a look at that. No, sir, that doesn't happen. The reason is you look at the destination IP address. The destination IP address is 111111111110. What is that? That is the IP of this interface. Okay. Please remember, though this is the source machine and this is the destination machine of our intention, we do this machine is sending a ARP packet to know the MAC address. It is not giving the destination IP as this machine. It gives its default gateway. Please remember, this reveals another important thing. that you are sending such request only to your default gateway. You are not sending it to the external network. Okay, so the packet is not going to the external network. You will get the MAC address of this machine, and it will go to the ARP table. Let me see whether we can see the ARP table. Now the ARP table is empty. It's not having anything. So let's allow this to go. It has come. Now let's see whether anything is included. Yeah, now a new entry is included. 1111110 has got this as the hardware address. That is your MAC address. Okay, is that all over? No, that is not all over. You can see after some time, this machine is sending a ERP request to everyone. Okay, because this router should know the MAC address of this machine, then it will upload its ERP table. But in the meantime, you can see something interesting happened at the router. If you could see ERP table, see it has got the entry of 111. Sir, how is it possible? How does it get the MAC address of 111? It's very simple. When you're sending the response, you got the source MAC from this machine, so you update your MAC table. Okay, this is how. Now you don't have the entry for 222 You will get the entry only after this ARP is successful. And I stop here. You can see now we will have another entry was for ARP 2222221. This is the MAC address. Okay, and this will be available for 20 minutes as we have seen. After 20 minutes, this is going to be flushed. Okay, this is what happening in your ARP operation. So ARP request is a broadcast message. ARP reply is a unicast message. That's the strange and interesting thing we should note. All right. So sending off this software, that's what I have said. So if you are from this machine, if you are sending a datagram to this machine, you are going to resolve only this MAC first. You will update its MAC table. Then this router will go and find out the MAC address of this machine. Then it will update it, and then your actual communication happens. Okay. Right. Moving on. About the Ethernet. But it's 10:33. I think I should take a break now. I have to get ready for the next meeting. So about the Ethernet header structure, I'll wind up with that. I will close it. Okay, this is the Ethernet frame structure, which has got some number of bytes. Whereas the important thing is the first 7 bytes are preamble. It is going to have a series of 101010, except the last 2 digits going to be 11. That will alert the receiver frame that a frame start frame delimiter is coming. It's going to be of 1 byte, but these two are important: destination MAC address and source MAC address. Then the length of the frame, this is going to be in size 46 bytes to 1500 bytes, based on the MTU value, maximum transfer unit value. If it is less than 46 bytes, if you are getting a data from the upper layer, you should somehow stuff some random value 000. Then you have to make it to 46 bytes. You cannot go beyond 1500 bytes, because the network layer is pushing the data only of maximum 1500 bytes if it is Ethernet and the data link layer. That's what I said. Data link layer dictates the Ethernet network layer for based on the MTU size, and that's how it will be fit in the packet. Is that all over? No. Data link layer adds the trailer for error detection and error correction. Okay. So these are the things I have with me to share with you, and I stop my presentation here. I stop my sharing as well.
Then the data is appended to 0. So how many bits are 0? The 0 bit should be less than the divisor. Then when you divide, you will have something called the quotient and then the remainder. Then the quotient and the remainder, you take the remainder, you will append it along with the data. Then you will send it to the receiver side. In the receiver side,
please hold on till I start my presentation.
the remainder should be 0. If there is no error.
Okay, have you got any question? If you have got any question, you can raise it now. Otherwise, you can take leave. Have a great day. Please join the webinar commencing at 11 o'clock today. Okay, have a great day. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.